being a child and sort of crawling around the house, I remember these Turkish carpets. And there were these scenes, these battle scenes, these love scenes. I mean, look, this animal is trying to fight back the spear from this soldier. And this, my mom took these pictures actually last week of our carpets. And I remember this to this day. There was another object, this sort of towering piece of furniture with creatures and gargoyles and nudity and, you know, pretty scary stuff when you're a little kid. What I remember today from this is that objects tell stories. So storytelling has been a really strong influence in my work. And then there was another influence. I was a teenager, and at 15, 16, I guess like all teenagers, we want to just do what we love and what we believe in. So I took the two things, I fused together the two things I loved the most, which was skiing and windsurfing. Those are pretty good escapes from the drab weather in Switzerland. So I created this compilation of the two. I took my skis and I took a board and I put a mast foot in there and some foot straps and some metal fins. And here I was sort of going really fast on frozen lakes. It was really a death trap. I mean, it was incredible. It worked incredibly well, but it was really dangerous. And I realized then I had to go to design school. I mean, look at those graphics there. So I went to design school, and you know, it was the early 90s when I finished, and I saw something extraordinary happening in Silicon Valley. So I wanted to be there. I saw that the computer was sort of coming into our homes, that it had to change in order to sort of be with us in our homes. And so I got myself a job, and I was working for a consultancy, and we would get into these meetings, and these managers would come in, and they would say, well, what we're going to do here is really important, you know, and they would give the projects code names, you know, mostly from Star Wars, actually. Things like C-3PO, Yoda, Luke. So, you know, in anticipation, I would be this young designer in the back of the room, and I would sort of raise my hand and I would ask questions. I mean, in retrospect, you know, probably stupid questions, but things like, you know, what's this cap lock key for, or this num lock key for? You know, that thing. You know, do people really use it? Do they need it? Do they want it in their homes? What I realized then is they didn't really want to change sort of the legacy stuff. They didn't want to change the insides. They were really looking for us, the designers, to create the skins, to sort of put the outside, to create, you know, to put some pretty stuff outside of the box. And I didn't want to be a colorist. You know, it wasn't what I wanted to do. I didn't want to be a stylist in this way. And then I saw this quote: "Advertising is a price companies pay for being unoriginal." So I had to start on my own. So I moved to San Francisco, and I started a little company, Fuse Project. And what I wanted to work on is important stuff. And I wanted to really sort of not just work on the skins, but I wanted to work on the entire human experience. So the first projects were sort of humble, but they took technology and maybe made it into things that people would use in a new way, maybe finding some new functionality. This is a watch we made for Mini Cooper, the car company, right when it launched. And it's the first watch that has a display that switches from horizontal to vertical. And that allows me to sort of check my time really discreetly here without bending my elbow. And other projects which were really about transformation, about sort of matching sort of the human need. This is a little piece of furniture for an Italian manufacturer, and it ships completely flat, and then it folds into a coffee table and a stool and whatnot. And something a little bit more experimental. This is a light fixture for Swarovski, and what it does is it changes shapes. It goes from a circle to a round to a square to a figure eight. And just by drawing on a little computer tablet, the entire light fixture sort of adjusts to what shape you want. And then finally, the leaf lamp for Herman Miller. This is a pretty involved process. It took us about 4.5 years, but I really was looking for creating a unique experience of light, a new experience of light. So we had to design both the light and the light bulb. And that's a unique opportunity, I would say, in design. And the new experience I was looking for is giving the choice for the user to go from a warm, sort of glowing kind of mood light all the way to a bright work light. So the light bulb actually does that. It allows the person to switch and to mix, these two colorations. And it's done in a very sort of simple way. One just touches the base of the light, and on one side you can mix the brightness, and on the other, the sort of coloration of the light. So all of these projects have sort of a humanistic sense to them. And I think as designers, we need to really think about how we can create a different relationship between our work and the world. Whether it's for business or as I'm going to show on some sort of civic type projects. Because I think everybody agrees that as designers, we bring value. Value to business, value to the users also. But I think it's the values that we put into these projects that ultimately create the greater value. And the values we bring can be about environmental issues, about sustainability, about low power consumption. They can be about function and beauty. They can be about business strategy. But design is really the glue that brings these things together. Jawbone is a project that you're familiar with, and it has a humanistic technology. It feels your skin. It rests on your skin, and it knows when it is you're talking. And by knowing when it is you're talking, it gets rid of the other noises that it knows about, which is the sort of environmental noises. But the other thing that's humanistic about Jawbone is that we really decided to sort of take out all the techie stuff and all the nerdy stuff out of it and try to make it as beautiful as we can. I mean, think about it. The care we take in selecting sunglasses or jewelry or our accessories is really important. So if it isn't beautiful, it really doesn't belong on your face. And this is what we're pursuing here. But how we work on Jawbone is really unique. I want to point at something here on the left. This is the board. This is one of the things that goes inside that makes this technology work. But this is the design process. There's somebody changing the board, putting traces on the board, changing the location of the ICs as the designers on the other side are doing the work. So it's not about slapping skins anymore on a technology. It's really about designing from the inside out. And then on the other side of the room, the designers are making small adjustments, sketching, drawing by hand, putting it on the computer, and it's what I call being design driven. There's some push and pull, but design is really helping define the whole experience from the inside out. And then, of course, design is never done. And this is the other new way, the other way that is unique in how we work is because it's never done, you have to do all this other stuff, the packaging and the website, and you need to sort of continue to really touch the user in many ways. And but how do you retain somebody when it's never done? And Hossein Rahman, the CEO of Aleph, Jawbone, really understands that you need a different structure. So in a way, the different structure is that we're partners. It's a partnership. We can continue to work and dedicate ourselves to this project, and then we all sort of share in the rewards. And here's another project, another partnership type approach. This is called Water, and it's this guy from Los Angeles, Thomas Arndt, Austrian originally, who came to us, and all he wanted to do is to create a healthy drink or an organic drink for his kids to replace the sort of high sugar content sodas that he's trying to sort of get them away from. So we worked on this bottle, and it's completely symmetrical in every dimension. And this allows the bottle to turn into a game. The bottles connect together, and you can create different shapes, different forms. Thank you. And then while we were doing this, the shape of the bottle upside down reminded us of a Y. And then we thought, well, these words, why and why not, are probably the most important words that kids ask. So we called it Why Water. And so this is another place where it all sort of comes together in the same room. The three-dimensional design, the ideas, the branding, it all becomes sort of deeply sort of connected. And then, the other thing about this project is, we bring intellectual property, we bring a marketing approach, we bring all this stuff, but I think at the end of the day what we bring is these values, and these values create a soul for the companies we work with. And it's especially rewarding when your design work becomes a creative endeavor, when others can be creative and do more with it. Here's another project which I think really sort of emulates that. This is the one laptop per child, the $100 laptop. This picture is incredible. In Nigeria, people carry their most precious belongings on their heads. This girl is going to school with a laptop on her head. To me, it just means so much. But when Nicholas Negroponte, and he's spoken about this project a lot, he's the founder of OLPC, came to us, he really, about 2.5 years ago, there were some clear sort of ideas. He wanted to bring education and he wanted to bring technology, and those are pillars of his life, but also pillars of the mission of one laptop per child. But the third pillar that he talked about was design. And at the time I wasn't really working on computers. I didn't really want to from the previous adventure. But what he said was really significant, is that design was going to be why the kids were going to love this product, how we were going to make it low cost, robust, plus he said he was going to get rid of the cap lock key and the numlock key too. So I was convinced. We designed it to be iconic, to look different, to look like it's for a kid, but not like a toy. And then all these the integration of all these great technologies which you've heard about. The Wi-Fi antennas that allow the kids to connect, the screen which you can read in sunlight, the keyboard which is made out of rubber and is protected from the environment. All these great technologies really happened because of the passion and the OLPC people and the engineers. They fought the suppliers, they fought the manufacturers. It was such a. They fought like animals for this to remain the way it is. And in a way, it is that will that makes projects like this one allows the process from not sort of destroying the original idea. And I think this is something really important. So now, you get these pictures. You get up in the morning and you see the kids in Nigeria, and you see them in Uruguay with the computers, and in Mongolia. And we went away from, obviously the beige. It's colorful, it's fun. In fact, you can see each logo is a little bit different. It's because we were able to bring to run during the manufacturing process 20 colors for the X and the O, which is the name of the computer. And by mixing them on the manufacturing floor, you get 20 times 20. You get 400 different options there. So the lessons from seeing the kids using them in the developing world are incredible. But this is my nephew Anthony in Switzerland. And he had the laptop for an afternoon, and I had to take it back. It was hard. And it was a prototype. And a month and a half later, I come back to Switzerland, and there he's playing with his own version. Like paper and cardboard. So I'm going to finish with one last project, and this is a little bit more of adult play. Some of you might have heard about the New York City condom. It's actually just launched, and actually launched on Valentine's Day, February 14th, about 10 days ago. So the Department of Health in New York came to us, and they needed a way to sort of distribute 36 million condoms for free to the citizens of New York. So a pretty big endeavor, and we worked on the dispensers. These are the dispensers. There's this friendly shape. It's about it's a little bit like designing a fire hydrant. You know, it has to be, you know, easily serviceable. It has to sort of tell, you have to know where it is and what it does. We also designed the condoms themselves. And I was just in New York at the launch, and I went to see all these places where they're installed. This is at a Puerto Rican little mom and pop store, you know, at a bar on Christopher Street, at a pool hall. I mean, they're being installed in like homeless clinics everywhere. Of course, you know, clubs and discos too. And here's the public service announcement for this project. Get some. So, you know, this is really where design sort of is able to create a conversation. I was in these venues, and people were, you know, really like into getting them. They were excited. It was creating a, you know, it was breaking the ice. You know, it was getting over a stigma, and I think that's also what design can do. So I was gonna throw some condoms in the room and whatnot, but I'm not sure it's the etiquette here. Yeah? All right. I have only a few. So I have more. You can always ask me for some more later. And if anybody asks why, you know, you're carrying a condom, you can just say you like the design. You know. So I'll finish with just one thought. You know, if we all work together on creating value, but if we really keep in mind the values of the work that we do, I think, you know, we can change, you know, the work that we do. We can change, these values can change the companies we work with, and eventually together maybe we can change the world. So thank you.